grateful for another opportunity to come into the house of God, to assemble ourselves together, Lord, so that we can talk about your precious word. You are the living word, the living Logos that came walking, Lord, to save and redeem the soul from hell, God, from the penalty of death and hell. And so I ask you, Lord, right now to come into our midst. Only you know the situation of every heart in this room. Only you know, God, where they're at with their situations in their life, where they may be struggling. Only you know how to reach them, because you came down and took on the resemblance of man, God. You came down and became the Son of Man so that you could redeem us. You know exactly how we feel this morning. There's no one here in their situation that you don't feel the infirmities, that you don't feel their unsureness of where to walk with you. But because of you, you rose from the grave, and because of you, we have resurrection power today. Newness of life is what we have here in the last day. So, Jesus, we invite you in to our midst. Come in. Sit down. Be with us. Talk to our hearts, God, as we study today. Talk to our minds. Communicate with us, God, and teach us to communicate back, Lord, our feelings of love for you. In the precious name of Jesus we pray. Amen. And we're supposed to start today, believe it or not, all this, we're on page 2. I'm going to try to run quicker. We're going to talk about the 4 purposes of fasting. And now, if I ask you a question, answers on the outline, you can give me an answer quicker. What's the first purpose for fasting? 4 purposes of fasting. Section 3, toward the bottom of page 2. The first purpose for fasting is fast for mortification of flesh. What does mortification mean? Kill it. Mortify that thing. So we have an old heart. We have a fleshly heart. So Jesus is inside. We're teaching him to grow. But then there's still things out here in the old fleshly heart. The fleshly desires that are not like God. And so the first thing we have to do is work on mortifying something that's inside this heart. Let's look at Matthew chapter 17, verses 14 through 21. And when they were come to the multitude, talking about the disciples, there came to him a certain man kneeling down to him, saying, Lord, have mercy on my son. How many times have we said that for our kids? Lord, have mercy. Then we say it on ourselves too. Lord, have mercy on me. Lord, have mercy on my son. For he is a lunatic. We don't call our children lunatics, but sometimes we kind of think they're pushing the edge maybe a little bit. They just won't listen to what we have to say. And sore vexed. What does sore vexed mean? Really troubled. You ever have something in your own heart, in your fleshly heart, that sorely vexes you? I mean, just pushes your button every time. You'd like for that thing to be gone. Woo, but if somebody says the right word, that's a sore spot. And it sure vexes you, causes you problems. So, this son, he had a problem. And oftentimes he falleth into the fire. You say, well, I'd never do that. Oh, you don't get yourself in hot water sometimes? Didn't nobody get you in hot water. You got yourself in hot water. today. You ever been in a hot situation? You know, it says don't jump out of the frying pan into the fire. You make your own situation worse. Well, oftentimes, you cause your own problems. But he was being driven. And so the man said, well, Jesus, I took him to your disciples. They couldn't cure him. You ever have somebody ask you to pray for a situation? You found out your prayer just wasn't quite strong enough? What did that do to your pride? Shut your pride down, didn't it? Here you thought you was the great prayer warrior. If anybody brought anything, well, you say your prayer, stomp your feet, wave your hands, and their problems would just roll away. Now, these was the disciples of God. They was pretty close to him. Then they seen the miracles. They're the ones that picked up all the bread and fish left over. All the bread. They knew the miracles. They lived with the man doing the miracles. And so somebody brought them a problem, believing that they could fix it. The man took his son there, believing that the disciples could fix his problem. After all, they worked right there with Jesus. And guess what the disciples found out? They wasn't as spiritual as what they thought they was. They found out that they didn't have power to handle lunatic. In other words, your mind. A problem with your mind. You don't have to look at that if you don't want to right now. It's just an outline study so that you can keep up with class. So, a lunatic, the problems of the mind. You ever heard somebody play mind games with you? All the time. Where you play somebody else? They found out they didn't have problems to handle the mind game somebody played. They didn't have the power. They couldn't handle being sore vexed, a sore spot that just aggravates somebody over and over and over. It's a vexation. It's a repeated thing. And couldn't handle them. Always creating their own problems. He falleth into the fire. He falleth into the water. You make your own problems sometimes. You know better to jump out of the pan into the into the fire. You know if you open your mouth. And then later you go, why did I open my mouth? And you say that. I knew when I said that I had no business saying that. Well, that was his son's problem here. I brought him to his disciples. They couldn't cure him. Jesus answered, said, "O faithless and perverse generation." Faithless, you know what that is. Perverse means here you have an image of Jesus Christ. You think you got this thing, but guess what your image looks like? Because of pride. I can do this thing. Guess what? I ain't quite got everything straightened out yet. It kind of sort of looks like a cross. But with my covering of pride, it's just a little distorted. So the disciples got up there. I'm sure they did everything they could remember Jesus doing, trying to fix this kid. And it didn't work. You ever been passed around? One disciple couldn't do it. Here, you take him, John. John tried. I can't do it. Here, Mark, you take him. Oh, man. Woo! Here, Luke. You're the physician. Do something about this kid. It's plural there. He took him to the disciples, plural. And they found out they didn't have it straight on how to fix this problem. We're talking about mortification of the flesh. How to fix a problem that comes from the old heart. Many people in this, all of us, we all have issues in the old heart. Sure, we're teaching Jesus to grow. But there's still things in your old heart that hasn't been dealt with. Now, how does somebody walk up and have the power and authority to reach inside your heart and touch that thing? Disciples, they found out they didn't know how to do that. How do you come in here and heal a problem in the old heart? So Jesus told them the answer. He said, look, first of all, you have to understand, you didn't have enough faith. You're faithless in this area concerning this problem. You're faithless, and you have a perverse attitude. In other words, the image isn't right. It's not the true image of Jesus Christ. It's not by my authority. It's not by this true image of authority. You think you can do this, and you covered yourself with pride. That's how Lucifer missed it. How long shall I be with you? He's telling them, look, y'all need to figure this out. I'm not always going to be here with you. You need to figure out, so you have this power. Bring him hither to me. And Jesus rebuked the devil. Here's this problem we got. Jesus, sorry I'm writing sideways. Jesus rebuked. In your Bible it tells you how to rebuke. How do you rebuke? We're getting him quieter in here. Jesus was a master musician. He was a master at everything. In other words, he grew in wisdom, and so he had all wisdom. So he was a master teacher, a master musician. He was a master of a lot of things in your Bible. We ain't got time to go there this morning. We're talking about mortification. When you rebuke, what are you supposed to be doing with your feet? You don't want anything to get on your feet to cause you to reject. Remember, I've got the water to wash our hands of wrath, doubt, and rejection. If you're going to approach this type of a situation, do you need some doubt, or should you get rid of it? Should you have wrath? What about rejection? You need to be rid of it. So when you rebuke, you need to stomp your feet and wave your hands. Rebuke. If somebody came up to you and just started rebuking, what would you do? And yet we don't want to do that when we come across a problem. See, the disciples didn't understand how to rebuke. They had some pride. Well, I got this, Mark. Bring him to me. I doubt you can do it. You just bring him on over to me. They exposed their doubt, their wrath. Whenever they passed him off to another, guess what's hidden in your heart? You have a little bit of anger there. I didn't get it done. Here, out of pride. Let's see if you can do it. I couldn't do it. Let's see if you can do it. See, that's wrathful. That's hatred in my heart. It's subtle. It's hidden. But I'm so proudful that I pass him off. Well, here, Luke, you're in the position, you do it. And then he don't do it, and he's kind of like, Pop, you couldn't do it either. Well, that's pride. And our feet, their feet was covered with rejection because they felt rejected that this spirit didn't bow to their words, their commands. But they didn't know how to rebuke. The first thing Jesus did there is he rebuked the spirit.